Greetings, everyone. It's the Catholic CEO, Henry Katarna. Thanks for joining me today. We've been working through a series on the Catholic economy. Today, my topic is I'd like to discuss with you how to transition your family from the old economy to the new Catholic economy. I've got 4 ideas for your consideration today. The point of these 4 ideas, by the way, is to create a Catholic economy where Catholic families can operate as independently as possible from the culture. We can be independent. We can be a powerful economic force. We can help each other by buying and selling and investing in each other's businesses, banding together to create a powerful economic force through which we can change the culture, we can change legislation, we can change marketing behavior, we can change the position of many institutions in our society when, once again, Catholics would operate as an economic bloc and cause some change in the culture. 4 ideas, 4 actually sequential steps that you could take inside of your family to transition from the old economy, which is kind of a wage economy where somebody from one of the parents or both of the parents are out working in corporate culture, working in a downtown job, commuting costs, high costs, lunch costs, wardrobe costs, all sorts of extra expenses, a couple of extra vehicles maybe, all designed to bring a higher standard of living to the family. I'm not necessarily talking about lowering the standard of living, but I am talking about moving to a traditional Catholic family model that is more poised for the way the world is increasingly looking. If you're in a downtown job or you're working in the corporate world, you understand that the culture is gradually pressing in and is causing inconvenience and concern for Catholics. At some point, we're going to see that it will become impossible to remain Catholic and stay in your job. You're going to have to choose. So my point today is within the family. We've talked in other videos about the parish and about the wider community. Today, within the family, you can transition your family from the old economy, whatever it was, to the new Catholic economy. Here's step 1. Create an entrepreneurial spirit in the home. Just like we create a prayerful spirit, we're all trying to be holy as heads of families, mothers and fathers. We're trying to get our children and ourselves to heaven. That's the ultimate goal. But we can do an entrepreneurial spirit move as well in our homes. We can talk about business. We can create a positive atmosphere to discuss what's going on in business. We can talk about the ethics, the morals, the principles of certain business activities that go on. We can make it a discussion point in family meetings, at the dinner table even. We can create interesting conversations that expose to our children and to each other what's going on in the business economy so that we can discern and study what's good about it, what's bad about it, what's positive, what's negative, what would we change, what would we adapt, what would we adopt. We could study business in the home. We could actually assign children, let's say young children, teenagers, to study a particular business or to become the family's expert, you could say. We could have some fun here. Become the family's expert on banking, money and banking, crypto. Become the family's expert on the manufacturing process. All this supply chain stuff we're hearing about. What if somebody in our family was assigned, just for fun, to become an expert on the supply chain problem and teach the rest of the family about that? This is all fostering a spirit that is entrepreneurial in nature. What if we had our kids join investment clubs at an early age, where they put their dollars, their pennies, in towards a modest little investment under the guidance of somebody that knows what they're talking about, hopefully at the parish, rather than out in the secular community, where you can introduce Catholic values and kind of sustain the Catholic principles while teaching investment principles as well. Investment clubs, why not start our own investment clubs? Get 5 families to band together and teach our children about something, simple stock market purchases, ethical stock market purchases, or collecting bottles, collecting scraps, collecting materials, metals, collecting recyclable materials, and then reselling them. There's lots of little investment club kind of startup business things we could do. We could study economics. We could study administration, business admin, accounting. If someone has an aptitude in the family, it doesn't hurt to have them develop the actual expertise in a course of study. Taking a course, they can be very simple courses, or they can be all the way complex courses leading to an actual professional designation. But the point is, inside of our extended family, if we had an accountant, a business advisor, a business admin person, even an MBA, if you can survive your way through classical MBA school without indoctrination, you know what I mean? If we did that sort of thing, we could create an entrepreneurial spirit in our home. Even such a thing as visiting a business. I remember when I was a kid in the summer times, during summer vacations, my parents would arrange for us to visit businesses. We went to, I remember this one vividly because we had the free samples. That's why I remember it. We had a visit to a bottling plant, a soft drink bottling plant in our city. And my mother, I remember, rounded up a bunch of neighborhood kids. We filled up the station wagon full of 10 kids, no seatbelts. Everybody was standing. And we drove to a bottling plant and we toured it. And it struck us. We all remembered, that's how you make money. This is interesting. And so point number one, creating an entrepreneurial spirit within the family by talking about it, studying it, looking at it, examining it, and kind of understanding and making it fair play to talk about business in the home. Of course, supplemented by Catholic teaching and Catholic ethical and moral principles, of course. Second step in transitioning your family to the new Catholic economy, train people to start a business. I have met an individual in the last couple of weeks whose 9-year-old son started a business. And the 9-year-old son is out collecting scrap metal from garages and shops in the neighborhood. And he drags these things home. Remember, it's a 9-year-old. He drags these things home. Probably his parents loaded up in their vehicle and drive him home. But he's got an eye at this age for what can sell. And he's collected scrap material. And I heard the story. In the last, I think it's 2 months, he made $200. A 9-year-old boy collecting junk, you could say, reselling it to some scrap dealers. And he made $200. Isn't that interesting? So we could train people how to start a business. If you're a teenager, the classical method has always been, even in Catholic family businesses or Catholic families, I should say, teenagers will do snow shoveling, lawn cutting, yard maintenance, gutter cleaning, window cleaning, inside and outside, garage cleaning, and all sorts of other tasks and jobs, painting fences, summer jobs, all of that. Many of them, though, start their own business and they actually take their skill and they apply it. They even hire young people, their colleagues, their friends, and they make a little bit of money. And they can pay their way often through a university or, excuse me, another professional course that gives them an advantage. Young people in their 20s, the school system today, if you're not homeschooling, you're sending your children to even Catholic schools, they're going to emphasize get a job. They're going to train your children to be participants in the wage economy. In a certain sense, I'm not against that principle. But if we're truly wanting to be Catholics independent of the culture, moving towards a new Catholic economy, I think we're going to want to avoid training for a job. Because what's the end result of training for a job? Unless you find a job in an environment where there's not a woke culture and there's not sort of pressure on you to adopt principles that are inimical to the Catholic faith, you're going to have some trouble. And so if we could create a mindset in our young people that instead of looking for the corporate job with all of the upwardly mobile behavior that's expected in a corporate job, such as unbalanced life, such as adopting a consumer attitude of continual spending and continual acquisition, continual upgrading of things. You know, we could do something better than that. We could train our young people to start a business, do a startup. There are many tools out there. There are many grants and credits and accelerators and incubators and angel investor groups and mentors and processes that help young people start a business. What would be wrong with doing that? Similarly, parents, if the father of the house goes out to work every day into the corporate world, and let's say the mother's at home, or let's say the mother goes out to work as well, what about reevaluating that? What about making a move in advance? Because the pressure is only going to increase. It's not going to decrease. You're going to be increasingly asked to do things that are against the Catholic faith, and you will have to choose. And you know, I don't need to lecture you. The state of your soul depends on how you react to that problem. And so why not, even as mature adults, parents, consider starting your own business? Transition from a full-time corporate gig to a part-time one, leaving some time to start a new business. Start a new business, learn how to do that, become independent of the popular culture. So my second point in transitioning your family to the new Catholic economy, train yourselves to actually start a new business. And of course, this leads then to point number 3, start a business, actually do it, study it, learn how to do it. There are many offerings out there. At the Catholic CEO, we have all kinds of offerings. We have St. Joseph Forums, which is groups of peers working together. We have courses, we have free courses, we have downloads, we have case studies that we follow. We have a podcast series, we have a YouTube series. We have all sorts of tools, and we're one of many players who are trying to help people to actually start a home-based business or a bricks and mortar business that employs other people. Just the other day, I was talking to somebody who is a member of a large family, large Catholic family, 10 children. And these are all mature adults now, but it's an interesting story. The children, 10 children, are all owners of independent businesses. Each one of them owns a different kind of business, and they independently make their way through life. Some of them hire people, some of them are one-person shows. It's a variety of things, but all 10 of them have their own business. And they even do a little bit of business with each other. There's one I recall who's an accountant, and that accountant provides services to other family members. Pretty cool. But the father also runs a business. And so you have the father, in his example to his children, continues to run a business, but all 10 of them run a business. Now that's a vision, that's a pretty cool story. But you could start a business. There are many tools out there. One actual way to become independent of the corporate culture and to influence the culture and to become less secular is to work on your own business, because then you can control things. You can be independent of the culture by adopting principles that are more Catholic and that are more based on respect, justice, charity. You can still be profitable. You can analyze carefully, and you can do things like move towards a just wage. You can treat people more fairly, more equitably. You can respect the family. You can do all kinds of very interesting things to keep the situation growing positively and probably towards the state where you could become independent. My fourth action step for transitioning your family to the new Catholic economy: start a multi-generational business idea. Create a permanent independence from the culture, just like families did historically, where generations upon generations worked on the farm, on the land, or in a trade, carpentry, metalwork, and so on and so on. I'm not saying return to primitive approaches. No, use the technology, use all of the conveniences that have been developed, all of the efficiency tools, all of the techniques that we've learned in the past and in the recent past, but actually start multi-generational businesses that operate independently. Replace outside income with inside income. What would be wrong with creating a generation with successors? You're the founders, you're the founding generation, but you move to successors. And in the case of the 10 family, the 10 sibling business that I spoke about a minute ago, what if we in our own home decided to create a business that was long lasting, that would last multi-generations? And yes, it would respond to times, it would respond to changing conditions, and it would be smart, and it would pivot properly, and it would use all the conveniences and the modern tools, the sophisticated business analysis tools and training that's out there and advice that's out there. But we actually work towards, in our responsible role as parents, to create a multi-generational business. There's always the choice of whether children follow these things or not. I understand that. That's a complex matter. But if the right atmosphere is created in the family and the children are raised to understand Catholic principles, it's possible that you could create a multi-generational family business, which would then go on several generations, building strength, carrying on the tradition of that family's expertise and specialty. It could be a noble pursuit. Currently, it's not considered that. People don't even consider this because the proposition is given to every young person who's leaving home and starting up independently. Join the corporate culture, advance, prosper, move ahead, climb the corporate ladder. That's the only way to do it. There are other ways to do it. You can become an independent entrepreneur. You can become an investor. You can become a tradesperson. You can become a specialist service provider. You can do software. You can do technology. You can do big data. You can do AI. You can do, there's all sorts of ways that you could create a family enterprise that is multi-generational. So in summary, in this short video, I've proposed to you that you can take action steps within your family to transition from the old economy to the new Catholic economy. And in summary, then, number one, we create an entrepreneurial spirit in the home that welcomes business discussion and talk and exposes the goodness and the positive features of business ethically generated to our families. Number two, we can train people to start a business. Remember the 9-year-old who collects junk, metal, pieces of metal, and makes $200 every couple of months. That's interesting. All the way through the teenage years, the young 20s, and even the adults, the founders of new businesses, even in their 40s and 50s and 60s. There's no reason that it can't be done. Number three, actually start a home-based business or a business. Actually do it. And then fifth, move even beyond that. Create a multi-generational business so that you can create a lasting impact of your future generations, maintaining once again that your family's independence from the culture is assured into future generations. And as responsible parents, wouldn't that be something that we would aspire to? Yes, it would be. So these 4 steps to transition your family from the old economy to the new Catholic economy, I think are attainable. They can work. It's possible to start now. It's in fact necessary to start now because the culture is increasing its pressure on us. We're not going to be able to respond in any other way but to become independent of it at the moment. It's going to be difficult to change the culture. However, if we become independent of it and become an economic powerhouse, you've heard me say this before, if we can create an economic powerhouse, we can then change the culture. We can change law, we can change legislation, we can change financial behavior, we can change marketing, we can change everything about the culture. And the method to do it is to become an economic force. How do we start? We've talked about the wider community. We've talked about the parish. Now we're talking about how to do this within your own family. So here are some ideas for your consideration. Let me know what you think. We think that there's positive ways to do this. We think it's something that is essential. It's the Catholic CEO, Henry Katarna. Thanks for joining me today.